There's this pathological need to kill children in utero that a lot of pro-abortion feminists seem to have. Do you really, is it money really that is behind this virulent push, or is it something else?
Okay, I have been trying to get to the bottom of this myself to understand it, Daisy. When I should probably confess to you and viewers that when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I was actually pro-abortion. I was sort of a feminist at Sydney University studying law, and I assumed that women needed abortion in order to be empowered, but I'd never actually looked into what it was. And I've since looked back at the history of how abortion became aligned with feminism, and I haven't in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't authentic to the first wave of feminism. So the women who got us the right to vote, like Elizabeth Nichols in Australia, Susan B. Anthony in the US, first female judge, all of these women were pro-life. They knew that abortion was wrong, that it would harm women, but they were vehement that they wanted women to stand in parliament. They wanted women to be able to vote. They were vehement about women's equality. That in the 1960s and 70s, the population control movement and the abortion industry and the women's movement joined forces. And that's when women's rights and abortion rights became synonymous. And so me, little me, 40 years later at university had just accepted this, that women need abortion in order to be empowered and equal to men. And it was through looking into abortion and understanding the research about the harms that it causes women both physically and mentally, also the brutality of the procedure. And I forced myself to look at babies in utero who had been aborted. It was very clear from looking at those things and opening my eyes to it what was really going on. So I think on the one hand, there are pro-abortion activists who see this as essential to women's equality.
Yeah.
Now, they're misguided and they're wrong, and they're closed to the reality of what abortion is. But that's one aspect of this. But then on the other side of this is there's a lot of money, of money wrapped up in this. As I've already mentioned, Planned Parenthood is $1 billion corporation. Marie Stopes International, who interestingly have changed their name to MSI because they don't want anyone to know about the eugenicist that was their founder. She was racist. She was ableist. She was against people with disabilities. I think she cut one of her children out of their will because they dared to marry someone that was blind. She just really believed that we needed to get rid of the people in our society that were, holding us back because of their disabilities. And, Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, wanted to have abortion clinics in black neighbourhoods, those are her words, in order to cull what she referred to as the Negro population. I mean, this is disgusting stuff. And these are the two founders of our biggest abortion conglomerates in the world, Marie Stopes International and Planned Parenthood. And so it is about money. It absolutely is about money. It's about the salaries that these people receive, the assets that they have, the huge access that they have to power, both the Australian Labor Party here and the Democrats in the US. So there's significant forces at work. And Dr. Debbie Garrett, who's a researcher from Queensland, she wrote her PhD and ultimately published it as a book, and it's called Alarmist Gatekeeping. And it really traces how, in the Australian context, anybody that's ever spoken up about abortion or questioned it has been bullied, harassed, intimidated, and ultimately shut down and cancelled. And I actually read that in the lead up to deciding to do this a couple of years ago because it was a conscious choice for me to put myself into the lion's den, to open up Pandora's box and to start forcing a national conversation on abortion. But I could see then, just in reading her book, the tremendous concentration of power in media, government, and big corporations that have a vested interest in more abortion.
Absolutely. And you are incredibly brave to go on this journey. And it's fantastic the university you work for is happy for you to do it. And look, don't feel awkward about formally being pro-abortion, because I had an identical journey to you. I thought that in my late 20s, I thought, well, no, it has to be synonymous with women's rights. I was never very comfortable with it, though. And sort of in my early 30s, from a very secular perspective, it wasn't religion that influenced me. I started doing research, and I said to myself, I can't actually reconcile anything other than the fact that life begins at conception, and logically that means an abortion is killing a human being. And that, plus also the very graphic procedure, learning about how graphic abortion was, I thought, no, I can't do this. I can't support this anymore. So we've had an identical journey. Joanna Howe, you're fantastic.